Hey everybody. So we had a fairly decent day today in the market. There were some squeezes that we saw. Some were squeezes, some were just outright buying. But we're going to review everything today that happened in the market in this video. We're going to find some actionable ideas and some things that we can work on tomorrow. Most importantly, please subscribe to the channel and click notifications. It's really important because we're doing a lot of live shows every single day with a lot of ideas like ZIM today and BNGO and several others. And I don't know the exact time that I'm going to pop on. So I believe that they notify you that way. So it's important that when you subscribe, you also click notifications. But let's just jump right into it. Everything's in alphabetical order, and there are just a litany of setups that are going on out there. AMEH, and I'm just going to go in alphabetical order. AMEH, we are sitting in a position here where you broke out. I mean, you really broke out way more than I thought you would, frankly, today. And getting above this and then that push is exactly what you needed. See how your volume is starting to increase here? Okay, that's exactly what you're looking for. Okay, just how that volume increases. That's exactly what you want to see. So let's see how that plays out, but I'm very comfortable with this. You could come back in. Sometimes when you pop over these lines, you'll come back down and test. But you see how this bar, you see, I'm like huge into candlesticks. I really like them. And this is why. See how this bar, you have like these little wicks here. This bar, the open was the low. The high was the close. Like you can't get more bear or bullish. I was going to say bearish. Can't get more bullish than that, right? Like look at this all day long. I mean, that's all it did. You really didn't even have a lower close bar all day long. And you just look at the volume that's going on, and it was pretty substantial. And if we look at it relatively, you can see it was above your 30-day average consistently throughout the day. So I really think this is something that may continue to push, and you're just going to have to watch it and make a decision on that. So let's just see how it plays out. But would I add to it here? No. If you're in the trade, that's great. Other than that, if it breaks out again and you're looking for a trade, then you probably have to go back to like a 15-minute chart or an hour chart, something like that. And even that you just have to be really with a very tight stop. So this broke out and it's definitely worth going over. Adam, look at this. See how look, let's get rid of these and let's throw this in. And we really don't need to talk about this anymore. So you can see these levels, right? And they're just little support levels that then get flipped, right? They were resistance and then those levels get flipped and they become support. And you can see how you opened lower, then ran up, and now you're sitting right here, right? So that's really important to understand. You're at the 2250 level, and it's something where you can really continue to push here, but you got to get through 2250. If you overlay the stochastics with it, you can see that your volumes keep picking up. So the probability of getting over this is pretty good. But one tool that you can use that is helpful, and let me click on the indicators here and then put this on, you can use relative strength. So the relative strength of this position, and then let's get rid of all the moving averages so we can clean this up a little bit. So this is a positive divergence, right? So here's the RSI, and we're down here. And then here's the RSI exploding, and the stock's not even over this yet. So this is telling you that the probability of us going higher is probably greater. So that's exactly what you're looking for. And it's exactly what you want to see. So this can move, and it looks like it's setting up that way. And what we'd want to see on this really is, let's drill down into this. What you're going to want to see here is you're going to want to see a move past 2250. I really don't care about this little wick up here. Some people are going to be super technical. 22 3/4. Get above 2250 and stay above 2250 for a period of time, and that's enough. It means to me that it's going to continue to push. So BFLY. So BFLY, I mean, let's get rid of this for a moment, but you can already see how this is setting up. We might as well use it, right? Oops. Let's go here and get rid of these for a moment. And let's get into this. So, and we can really get rid of all these segment lines. We really don't need them. They're from before, from months ago. So what you can see here is how you're running up 1490. That's what you're shooting for. See how you're down here and see how you're up here now? These are setting up for big moves. when you see this kind of stuff, how you undercut this RSI and then come back up above it. That's where you can't really use the 30 line as a decision on whether or not you're going to buy, because it doesn't matter, right? It broke 30 here, and then look how it kept going down. So you have to wait for it to kind of turn around and kind of break a channel, very similar to what we've talked about. And I'll put that RSI video back up there again, and we can kind of go from there. But I'll put it at the end of this video. I think it's something that's worth watching. So let's just focus here. What do? Well, you got to clear 1490, and then you have 1610 that's going to be an issue. So you have some issues here that you're going to have to get through. I mean, it's not smooth sailing, but you are seeing signs of this changing. The 21 is starting to point up. This 50-day, we're finally over, and now you're against the 200. So get above the 200, and we could continue to push here, but I really like this RSI. It looks great from that position. So BIIB, we're just going to talk about really quickly, and then I'm going to get into AMC. I just realized I jumped over it. And we'll talk about the trades that the pre-market trades we lied out today, and then how they did, and then what happened later in the day, and how to trade it. So let's just get through this, and then we'll go from there. Like, look, this is very simple. I mean, we can draw this all we want, right? But when news comes out like this, that's that staggering on their Alzheimer's drug, I mean, that's all you need to see. And that's exactly what you saw today. I mean, it was just awesome. It's just a huge move. Congratulations to those that were in it. My advice was just, when you were here, and I even think I showed this on Twitter on a 1 minute. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, you might want to. I throw out a ton of actionable ideas, for free, and just, it's worth following along. Some people do fairly well with them. So here's what you want to do. When something like this breaks, right? And what I was showing earlier was, look, you just moved 46% or 131 points. You might want to slow your roll, because anybody that's been in this, you have to think about it like how they're going to think about it, right? Like, look, if you've been in this forever and then you missed this one, and then the next day you come in and you got this going on, you're not feeling rosy about your position, right? I mean, all these people, and then the next day you come in and you're here. So you have to realize that those people are going to want out of the stock, and they have not had the opportunity to get out of the stock at this level, right? And here's why. Because you gapped. So you didn't have a chance to get out of this until today. And that's exactly what they did. They got out of it. And you'll see this when that fills in. You'll see the gap. But what you really want to focus on is, what do you do now? Well, this is pretty clear. The low of this 5-minute bar was your resistance all day. I mean, that was really it. You kept hitting it, and you can get rid of these indicators, but you could see what I'm talking about. See this? So this is something that if you really wanted to play it and you're looking for short term, you at least have to get above this level, which I think is going to be somewhat difficult. I'd expect this to continue to sell down. And if you look at longer term charts like the 15-minute, you can just see that you're just in this, you're just in a little wedge now, aren't you? Right? From here down. I mean, I wouldn't even use that. And as always, you just clone these. And there's a clone button right here if you use Trendspider. I mean, everybody clones their lines. So if you've been trading for a while, just get in the habit of it. It gives you an understanding of where your range is going to be. So this can still come down to like 380 and still be falling. So in that falling wedge. So just be careful. I mean, I would not be chasing this here, I guess is what I'm getting at. BNGO, we went over this morning, and we'll just go through this. So this was the open, and I just want to throw out where this line is so we can all understand this. Okay, so 773 to here on the open. Okay, and then here, you ran to here, right? And you're settling here. I mean, everybody kind of gets that, right? Now let's just take a moment and see where you settled. Okay, you settled right below resistance. It's not exactly what you're looking to see, and I think that you're a little tired here. I think that the stock's a little tired. I mean, you just moved 42% in 2 days. Okay, so you might take a break here. So just be aware of that. I would not be chasing this here. I was pretty clear on what to do today, and we're going to go through that now. I hope I was clear this morning. in the pre-market live call. And if you don't listen to them, I'd recommend that you do. I think that it's great when people get together. There's a lot of people that come together and we just throw out ideas, Q&A, and then I just give an opinion. And I also give some ideas out I basically try to give what I'm looking at. Yeah, that's not really there. That's not really there. So what we want to see here with this, right? Look at this. You got your down sloping here. From here, it's even more, right? You follow me? So at the end of the day, let's go to this because we'll now click this in so you can see. So this was that daily line that we were talking about. And just look at where you opened. You basically opened on it, right? So what you did, and the easiest way to do this is you let it open and then it comes back down, right? And tests that line. And then it goes back over it. And then now you kind of know that you're okay. And then we had a resistance line up here from before that we've had in for months. And then we got to that, and then you can just see how we bounced around and what we're doing now. And you can see that. So I still like the trade, but you just need to be careful. You need to watch these lines. I'm trying to figure out the right way to explain it to people. It's good that you're running up like this and you're breaking, but when you start getting this overextended, you really have to watch what you're doing. You really have to watch it. And that's what I would do here. I would not be chasing this here. If you bought it from today's pre-market call, congratulations, you had a great day, but I wouldn't be chasing it. So this is pretty much exactly what you didn't want to see. Right, from BNTX. I mean, it's the exact opposite of the day that you wanted to have, right? And we talked about it, and we said that this level is important, right? This has been the channel for what, over a year? And you can kind of see that, how this even comes down even further, right? So I really think it's very important to understand this and what you do now. Like, you had to kind of anticipate that this was going to happen, and then constantly be moving your stop up. You know, if once you broke out like that, I mean, that was pretty textbook, but that rolling is not what you want to see. And you should have been looking at a much smaller time frame chart to kind of understand what's going on. So you could be looking at something as simplistic as just look at that simple trend line. And what happens there when you break that trend line, right? That was it. So you could have been looking at something as simplistic as that as your stop. But now the question is, what do you do? Well, this is what's very interesting about this and why I'd be very careful with BNTX. Because what's happening here is you see this selling. The selling, right, is at the end of the day, the last 15 minutes. That's not mom and pop selling. That's institution selling. And they don't want you to see them selling, right? So that's why this happened at the end of the day the way that it happened. I'd be very cautious of this. Going into tomorrow. If I was long this and I wanted to keep my profit, I'd be very cautious. If I took out a lower low from this, I would go on the assumption that I'm going to crack this line and then I could go back down to the 21 day, which usually was what happens when these major lines break. You revert to a mean, right? And from those that watched the videos before, the Bollinger Bands, right? See how you're out of the Bollinger Band? You can kind of pay attention to that. But if you fall back into the Bollinger Band, which essentially by tomorrow, this line's up here, right? By the time you open and everything, I'm just estimating that where it is. And then if you fall back in here on a Bollinger Band, you basically come back into this level. And usually what happens, just for so people understand this, the top of these Bollinger Bands usually tend to coincide with an upper channel, but it's just another way to view them. I hope that's helpful. But I would, if I took out a lower low, I'd be gone. I would not be staying around. So CCIV, we put in the newsletter today. Congratulations to those that got it. There's not really anything to do here to say here. I'll walk through what I was looking at. I mean, it was pretty clear. This was resistance the whole time. 29, we tried, or 24.96, we tried once before, and then this took place, and then we tried again, and we broke out. And here's one of the key things that you could look at, that I looked at. Not this. Hold on one second. I was looking at relative volume, and the volume was okay here, but let's really drill into this so you can see what we're looking at. Okay, so this was the open. All right, on a relative volume basis. There really wasn't much more to say. right? There really wasn't. I mean, when I saw this amount of volume here, I didn't even wait to see if there was follow through. I just bought it. I mean, my worst case scenario is that it rolled back under this line and closed below this line, and I blew it out. I mean, that was kind of where my head was with the day. That's why I said when I put it out there in the newsletter that, hey, if it just takes out this low of the day, just get out of the way, because it shouldn't, not with this kind of volume. And I think that's important to note. So, but I would continue to watch this. I think this is just starting. And there's another one that we're going to go over as well too. So, and I know I'm out of order now for what I wanted to cover, but I'll get to AMC in a little bit, but I do want to cover it. I know I'm out of order alphabetically now, and that's going to infuriate the gentleman that does the timestamps for us. So, DMTK, I mean, you really have to understand what's going on here. You can see, look at this. See how you're hitting this level? That's exactly what you want to do. Okay. So let's go here and take a look at this. Hold on one second. Let's get rid of this. It's not really adding value. So you see how you have this trend line here, then here, then here, then here. You're finally getting above one right here. And at the same time, you're getting above the 50-day. This is exactly what you want to see. I mean, it's perfect. So the volume spike, everything. I feel that this is actionable. And we could spend a little more time on it. But you see, once you get above this level right here, once you get above that, you're going to continue to push. I mean, I don't think there's really any question about that. And it's definitely something that I would be looking at. So I'd be looking at that 43.27 level. And if that happens, it's definitely something that you could be involved with. I mean, that's just my opinion of it. So let's just keep rocking and rolling here. And let's look at the next one. But you have to think about this. Like, where's your potential? Your potential is unlimited on this one. Like, I mean, if this does try to make a move back, you know, this is very similar to what Fubo looks like to me, or JMIA. Like, this could really run. There's just an enormous channel here. Like, here, look at this. Right? See how you have this here? I'm just going to clone this for time's sake. Right? You just have this huge, there's just a huge channel here on both sides. And this could be a little tighter. But breaking through this becomes your target. So look at this, and like the way the 21's curling up and the 50. So I really like it, and it's definitely something that I'd be looking at going forward. So let's see what tomorrow breaks and this 23 or 43.27, and it's something we can go over in the pre-market again and view. So EXPI was one that we were talking about in the pre-market, and it did exceptionally well. From my stance, I think it did exceptionally well, and I'll go through why. So in one day, I cleared the 50 and the 200. Like, I love days like that. I can't tell you enough. Like, you need to look at days like this. So when you're getting above multiple levels at once, you need to pay attention. And you can see the volume here and how that volume came in. So if we just wanted to even understand that volume and see where it stood on a relative basis, I keep clicking the wrong one tonight. Hold on. There we go. So you can actually see where you are on a relative basis and going, okay, well, I'm not doing that great on a relative basis, probably because of what transpired here, right? But I'm still above average, and I'm not, it's not a below average move. So that's good. I mean, that's what you want to see. You have some color there that's adding value. So really from here, getting above that line, and this is 37.90. And where are we right now? 37.25. So you need to get above 37.90 or 38, and then I would take a look at it. So Fubo was one we've been watching, and we actually started talking about it even down here, but we've just been waiting, and now it's finally breaking out. I'm not remotely concerned about it. When people were getting concerned here under 2688, I was very comfortable and was just saying, hey, look, if it closes below the 200-day, you have to be concerned. And that's not what happened here at all. So you formed this little, very small wedge, broke out, and now you're just popping. I mean, it's textbook stuff, right? I mean, anybody can view this stuff and see this pattern. And now the question is, what do you do? Well, this is now support. 2688 is support. This breakout's great. You need to see if you have follow through or you don't have follow through, or if this becomes an issue. And this is where you could use something like this to understand what you're dealing with, right? And I'm trying to throw more and more indicators in as time goes along so you can understand them, so you could really understand where you're at. So essentially your volume weighted average is this white dark line, and that's telling you where everybody's basically in on a volume weighted basis. So you can understand that. And the other thing you can use is something called anchored VWAP. And then I'll show you where everybody's in from the peak. And look how they kind of coincide there. So just understand when you get to this 3140, 3160, that's where the majority of people are in this. And when it flips that level, you could see a push. But it could reject here too and just kind of have to work that out. So we just really don't know. And we have to wait and figure that out. But it's definitely something that I would have on my radar, because if we do that, and you can see that, right? 3144, that's exactly where we closed. I mean, here, look. I mean, that's exactly where you closed, right? And then you overlay this. It's exactly where you closed, right? I mean, I love when people tell me technical analysis doesn't work. So, and if you're doing this and you're not nailing these things the way that I am, just give yourself a break. I've been doing this for over 20 years. So it takes time to start getting this stuff down. And you know what? Before I do INMD, I'm going to do AMC and walk through this, because I will wind up just keep going and then forgetting. And it's really important that people understand this. So today, pre-market, I just made a call. I mean, you can listen to the pre-market call. I leave the pre-market live calls up until the next one, so people can listen, but then I get rid of them because some people were listening to the wrong one on replay. And we obviously don't want to listen to a day late of what to do in the pre-market. It's like just disastrous. So we need to avoid that going forward. But what you're seeing here is you're seeing these levels just kind of form, right? At the end of the day. And like, see this little wedge, and then you have this little base here, and then we break. I mean, it's just so much fun to play with this one. It's just so easy to make money off of this trade. And the reason I say that is because it's just pattern after pattern after pattern. So the white lines are Fibonacci levels. The yellow lines are support and resistance levels. And what we did this morning was here. So let's get to that. There we are. So, and what we're going to do here is we're going to throw in this pre-market data so you can see. So I was pretty clear when we started doing this morning that when we got above this 50, you needed to pay attention. So if you listen to the call today, the pre-market call, I brought it up like 4 or 5 times. You need to look at this. You need to look at this, because once you got over that resistance, okay, and I just want to show you why this level is important, but look at where we stopped again, right on the white lines, right? So when you get to the white line and you have this rejection pattern, and as people that watch that candlestick video, this rejection pattern right here, what is that? We all know what that is, right? It's an evening star, essentially. I mean, it's a crappy one, but it's an evening star. So if I have a rejection there and I run up, hit the line, and then break the low, I don't know how much more of a telegraphed look you're going to want to sell. So I'll say that again. If you go to a fib level, right, and you have like a pattern like this, whether you're calling it an evening star or, I don't care if you call it the triple Indy, but when you take out that lower low right there, that's it. It's time to go. And if it's not, then maybe you're looking at different time frame charts, and that's okay. But on something that moves this fast, you have to move. You have to move fast. So, and you could just see how it respected the line. Look what happened when it broke that line. We didn't just put these lines in here, and then you could see how it traded. But that was your trade, just something as simplistic as that. And I'll show you what I used. All we did was use this pre-market. the open of the previous day. Because the thought process is if you get above the open of the previous day on some level of volume, right, you're going to have taken out all the people that wanted to buy that got hit down here. You've taken them all out. And that's exactly what happened. And then you pushed and you ran right to the fib level. So I think that's very important to realize and something to consider. But I wanted to just walk through this trade before I forgot it because I think it's important because we really talked about it a lot today. So let's get back to it. And I don't think you do more with that except just keep it as a trade. It's very hard to hold overnight unless you're up substantially. You just don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. You don't know what a regulatory body is going to do, what a brokerage firm is going to do. They're making it very difficult. And I think they're making it difficult on purpose. So INMD broke our little, sorry about that. INMD broke our little wedge. And then after it broke our wedge, it continues to try to rally, right? We get above this, but then we can't hold it. So I would be cautious here. See, whenever I'm down like halfway on a bar like this, I get concerned. I don't want to be down halfway on a bar. By halfway down, remember the candlestick video I did? For those that watched it, you'll note, I can try and link that at the end of this one as well. But what happened on these candlesticks is simple. Like every wick is price rejection, whether that price rejection is I refuse to sell or a price rejection I refuse to buy. But when those buyers dry up and I'm up here, why do I want to be, why do I want to own it if you don't? Right? I mean, that's kind of the thought process on wicks. And that's what you have to consider. So just consider that and then we'll go from there. But it's definitely something that I would really take a hard look at. I really like the idea. You just have to get over this level. I want to just hammer that. You have to get over and close this level. This is really substantial volume. And I want to hammer that home. I'm trying to get through as many of these as possible. We only cover 30, and I got to be honest. I mean, I got over 200 requests today, and a lot of them just look amazing. So there's a lot of setups out there. So you have to get over that level. This, to me, is a huge setup. And I went with the other one, CCIV, today, because I didn't want to do both because there's another level here that concerns me. And that level is right here, okay, 46.50. So I would be really concerned with that. And here's $64. But look at this. There's no real resistance here until I get up to like 55. Look at these indicators. Like they're all turning. Look at this 5.8. Remember that video we did with the moving averages? So you can see that with the 5.8 crossover. Like this is just really setting up for a very powerful move. And I would not rule this one out. There was some other underlying factors that made me not choose it. And I'm just going to show you one. So let's go to the hourly for a moment. And then let's just go and get rid of the pre-market data. And then what we're going to do is just look at relative volume for a moment. See how these spikes, right? This was your open, right? On the hour. And then look at these spikes, how they drop. And then look at how you start underperforming, right? So that really didn't light the world on fire to me. That was a little different volume profile on the relative strength than what I've been seeing. So that was a concern of mine, and it made me want to kind of stay away and focus on the other one. It does not mean that it does not work, but you see what I'm saying? Like it was spiky to get over. It wasn't like filled the whole time. And I think that that's really important to understand, right? You don't want to see that. You want to see it like actual spiky. And let me show you that again so you get it. See how you're here, right? And then you fail, then here, and then yep. Okay. So you have decent volume, but then look at how it just falls off, right? That's what I'm talking about. You're getting less and less. That's not what I had with CCIV. So the volume, relative volume was a concern of mine. Now, what you could do to understand and get a better understanding of this, again, and I keep trying to throw indicators in here so people can understand and use them, is you could look at your volume profile and go, geez, what do I have here? Do I have any issues? Well, on the hourly, it was perfect. Now, how was it on the daily? Okay. So you can see again, you see how you have all this volume up here and you're trying to get through it. So if you get through this, you're in good shape, but you have to get through this. So what does that mean to us? I would look to make sure that you get above this level. I mean, I know people don't want to hear this, but I really want to see 4650 at this point. There's too much resistance in here and there's too many different levels that I can get caught and trapped on. So I really want to see that. And I think CCIV is a better play here. I really do. Just on the chart. I'm not talking about the fundamentals of the company. Don't, email me or call me, or not call, but, get on Twitter and tell me I don't understand. But I'm just talking technically. So let's get rid of this line. This was the line we've been talking about. We started following it last week, right? Look how we broke. Look how we closed above it. The volume's okay, but there's a couple things here that I'm going to show you that I think you just need to be aware of on this one. See how you're above the purple line, which is your point of control? See how it hasn't been able to get above that and stay above that, right? And when it does, what it does, it moves. Now I'm above that, I'm here, and here's VWAP. So I have a full point before I even get to that. And getting the VWAP, that's your next level that can flip, okay? So I don't see any reason why this can't push. You have volume in here, but this could push pretty fast to this level. And then that level is going to be something that we're going to have to work on, that 930, 915 level. And so we're going to have to kind of go from there and take a look at it and see what's going on. Let's go here. And so let's do NVIDIA on the daily. So you went right to that fib level again, and now you have a little long-legged doji. Well, not really, right? It's not too long here. But you still have a doji bar, which could mean a change in trend. So we're going to have to watch and see how we open tomorrow and go from there. Overall, with the action, the fact that we've closed flat after a huge run, to me, is a win. You might not want to hear that, but it's definitely a win. So just consider that. Now, with that said, let's go through this. And you can see what's going on here, right? Okay. It's just a clear shot to me that you're heading to up to this level. I actually think you get it. I think you get close to the 8s before you even split. I think you're going to see a big push into this as it gets closer and closer to that. But you just need to be careful and understand you can have a down day. We really have not had major down days in this since this started. Let's remove these for a moment and let's just kind of go here so we can see this. Okay. So this was looking at it. Hold on. Let me get rid of this. So this was looking at it today. And I walked through this trade. So this was me looking at it on the 5-minute. Okay. So I got to, and this is just a 5-minute chart, but I got to the VWAP, which is right here. And I had this wedge right on the VWAP. And then when I got there, I guess what else was there? A resistance line. So I have the VWAP, and we can get rid of these. I got rid of the VWAP. I don't really use moving averages on shorter time frame charts. I know people that do, and that's okay. I just don't. But see this wedge, boom, here. And then what's this pattern? It's kind of like a 2-step morning star, but it's a nice reversal, right? And so this gave you the opportunity to say, oh, well, this might be a spot where this is going to work. I've got a lot going on here, don't I? I've got this falling wedge. I've got VWAP. I've got my support line. So I gave it a shot. And also, see how you have this volume spike right here? Usually these volume spikes, like the big red ones, right, on the day, like here, they usually mark where you could be putting a bottom in if you're towards the lower end of the chart, because it's just where everybody just pukes it out and says, I've had enough, which makes sense, right? You broke VWAP and you broke support and resistance. So people are watching those levels and going, that's it. That's enough. I'm in from 540 or wherever they're in, and just tag me, get me out, and go from there. And then the stock pulls the flim flam and goes up. And from this position, I'm still in today. From where you can go look at the timestamp, I haven't gotten out of that position. I'm 100% still in there, and I like it. I think it looks great. So that's how I played that today, and I hope that's helpful and helps you understand how you can play it. And let's go from there. If you find this helpful, if you could do me a favor and just simply click the like button. My goal is to get in front of as many people as possible and show them what it takes to be truly successful.
Market data connection lost.
There goes my little English guy from IB. Hold on one second.
Market data connection reestablished.
And we'll turn him off. So what you really want to see here is on pins, I like this. I like Snap better, and we're going to get to Snap. And there are a lot of stocks here, and I know I'm taking time, and I think I'm over 30 stocks tonight, just FYI. This 200-day, you're holding that. This 21 curling up. This 21 is going to go through the 200-day. It's going to be awesome. This is just setting up so nicely. And I mean, you need to really be looking at this. Look at this level. Just look at this level right here. I mean, it's just textbook stuff. And I know I got 500 lines on here, so let's get rid of all of them and just go from there. Let's get rid of this. Okay. And I don't even need this right now. I mean, it's not even close to it. And then we'll just put this up. So if you just were going to start over and go, okay, this is where we're at now. What do we have? Well, you have this that you need to be somewhat aware of, right? Because you broke out of that and you came down. So you could be bumping your head against this, right? That should remind you of the SOXL trade for those that have been staying with us for a while. And really, so what you're looking for, just this level, just get through this. 66, 63. I mean, you could just literally use that, right? And then go, okay, well, where am I going to run into issues there based upon that? Well, let's see where we closed. Well, we closed right here. Okay, so that would get me through that would get me through this line, wouldn't it? And look how we rejected this area a couple times, right? So that's what you want to see, and you can see the breakdown here. So really what I want to do is I want to get through this because I want to fill this gap. That's what I want to do. I want to get through this so I can fill this gap. And I just have to wait for that to happen. I'm just not there yet, right? And you can see the 50 days is kind of an issue, but it really hasn't been respecting its 50-day one way or another. So I'm not going to really take that into account as much. I'm more interested in getting through this level and having a follow through, because then all these people that sold are going to get annoyed and buy it back. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking at what's going to create demand for the stock. And believe me, nothing creates demand for a stock like thinking you're going to miss it after you got stopped out. It's the most annoying thing that I can think of. So people are not, immune to it. So this was one I believe we put in the top 10 Saturday video. And I really like the idea. Here's your wedge coming down. And then we just had this base. I just drew this base out. And I showed how we were walking up, right? So they were walking you up. And it's just like steps, right? And then you just go. And that's what happened. It just finally pushed. Decent volume. This was pretty clear reading. Congratulations to those that got in on it. Thank you for telling me on Twitter. It's always interesting to see who gets in the ideas, who doesn't. This wasn't crazy. This wasn't great volume, but it was volume. So we'll take it. But it looks good. And it's just starting. This is just starting. You want to see something that looks just really insane? Look at this. This just looks like it could just rip faces off. I mean, this just looks like it could just keep going. So this is a nice turnaround here, and let's see what happens with it. Peloton. I'm surprised I don't have the name up. Peloton. So, and this is the weekly. Oh, maybe that's why, because I don't have it in the daily. So here you are. Okay. So in your daily here, let's open this up a little bit and focus in on this particular time frame on what's going on. So you see how you hit the 50-day? See how you reversed off of it? This was a little Morningstar pattern inside of this flag, and it played perfectly. The only thing that would concern me really, and I'm just playing this to what's just transpired in the past couple days, right? Or in the past, let's call it month. But right, you have another level right here, and you're going to have to watch that level and see if you get through it. Now, you got through this one. You could get through this, but we failed to get through the 200-day, but maybe the second time's the charm. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if that's the case or not. And then we'll go from there. So let's just see how the whole thing plays out, and we'll see. But I'm not in a big hurry to buy this. I think there's much better ideas. So QFIN, we needed the breakout. They gave you the breakout, pulled the flim-flam, and then drove you back down and are resting right on support. If you break this level, you're going lower. Okay. Just if you break this level, you have to accept the fact that this is probably going lower, and you have to decide if you want to be in it or not. I would not be in this now until I close over this 36.79. This was not the follow through that you wanted to see today. So just be aware of that. And you saw that throughout the board, and I believe you saw that in Tiger and Futu as well. So I was asked to review the cues, and I have no problem with that, but let's really dive into what's going on, right? I mean, we can all look at this, right, and see, like, this is what's going on, and let's get rid of these lines for a moment. Let's just get rid of all these segment lines, and let's get rid of all these horizontal lines. Put this up here and get rid of all the indicators, okay? And let's just look at the price for a moment. So really, what do we have going on here, right? We have this little lower trend line here, okay, that you can kind of see how it comes down to here, right? It's not perfect, but there it is, okay? So we came down, we tested again. This is where we bought the socks. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but we added to positions here because I just didn't look like we were going to break. And we just tried to form an H, failed at the H, and then rolled and then started heading up. Now, there's a couple things going on here that we're going to just talk about. The first is you're above this line, right? So the very first thing you have to take into account is you're above this, okay? You've been trying to get above this. You tried to rally, and you're above it. So keep that in mind when I talk about this, because that's very important. Oh, it's cloning them. Hold on. Remove all. Okay. So then let's just go here and look at this and really get into this. Okay. This is where you're sitting. It's not true yet because you have to, you haven't really come back down and tested it. So you really have to see what's most important, right, is this level. So that's why I keep saying that you really have to watch that 337 level. You have to really get through 337. If you get through 337 in this like evening star position and you fill that gap completely, you're going to take out new highs. I mean, that's where you're heading, right? So, I just think that you're setting up for a big move. I'm trying to figure out any other way to kind of like show you that's very simple for you to see. I just think that by looking at this, you should be able to read this, right? So like, even if you get rid of this and you just open this up, right? And you can kind of see what's going on here, right? With that channel and this channel. So you kind of see how you're setting up for here. I mean, I think in the January, or when we started rolling back up, I said 380 was realistic. I still believe that. I mean, if you look at this channel has not gone away. I mean, you're easy. You have a ton of room if this goes, and I think it's going to go. So just keep that in mind. I like this. I think it's setting up, and I'm always going to favor the Qs over the other indexes. It's just the way that I am. So Roku, what we see going on with Roku is there's just way too busy here. Just way too busy. So let's get rid of all these horizontal lines, and let's get rid of all these segment lines and start over. And we'll get rid of this for a minute. People are all excited today because they're watching like the option sweeps and everything. I think that's fantastic. For all I know, they're short stock and they're using it to cover. I don't know what they're doing, right? You can always assume what's going on when you see that kind of action, but it doesn't mean that you understand the trade. They could be doing something completely different. So, keep that in mind. You can see this enormous kind of spot here, right? So just go right here with it so you can kind of get a sense of it, right? You see where I'm going with it. So you're really towards the top of this, and you do have some downside here. And now here's your indicators. I can't get above this 50 and stay above it. It keeps giving me a hard time. Now this 21 is curling and we bounced right off of it. So that's exactly what you want to see. But with this harboring right here, I mean, do I really want to play this for 5-6 points? I want to see a breakout. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. I want to see a breakout of it. And if I have to wait again for that, that's fine. You could have played the 200 or the 21 day, and that's okay. But right now, I think you really need to watch and wait and see what happens. This is not enormous volume by any stretch. Like, you didn't even have average volume today. and people were getting all excited to buy it. So I just don't see it that way. Maybe I missed, some volume spikes. Let's go look at the hourly. So, did I miss any huge volume spikes today? Let's just take a look. So not really. I mean, I have the least volume spiky day. So it's not something that I really care about. I really don't care about it. So the question becomes the same. Like, why do you want to be in this? Like, I understand that when it broke out here, I thought it was going to go. It didn't. It rolled and it came back down, and now it looks like it's going to break out. So let's see what happens. But I would not chase that. So Sava, you broke above this level, and this was the level that we had marked before. And I opened up the screen, so the name of the stock is also up there. But I know that there's a lot of people that look at these on their mobile, so it's kind of hard. So I do throw the name up there as well. So 69 was what we had to get through, and you saw clear rejection today, right? You got to 76. Which is just huge. I mean, when you broke this downward trend line, you just kept on going and you kept pushing. And I know they're expecting news, and maybe it moved. Maybe the news came out today. I never got to it. But you can just see how you clearly are fighting this level all day. And then you hit it and you think you're okay. And then that's it. So this is resistance. $69 is definitely resistance with Sava. Congratulations if you're in it. You had a monster move over the past week, but I just think that I'd be really cautious. I get very cautious when I see this, and it's why I use candlesticks a lot, because when I see these price rejections, it's telling you a story, and just pay attention to that story. So I believe there's news coming out. That's not really my forte, to decipher the news like that. It's not really where I can add value. So skills. The only reason this is in there is I know people love it, and they've been asked for it several times today. You have to get through 23. If you get through 23, you have a trade. Until you get through 23, you have no trade. I don't see it. You're at this level right here that you broke through, which is awesome. You're trying to get through this one, which you've kind of done maybe, but you really need to get above 23 and run. And if you look, you still have this here, the top of that red candle. That may be an issue. So you have some stuff in here. You have some garbage you have to get through, and you're going to have to do that. I would argue that if you're looking for something that looks similar to this, buy Fubo on a pullback, unless you really want to be in this name for some reason. If you want to be in this name, then you want to be in this name. But this needs to break that 23 before you consider doing that. So Snap, I really like this trade, but we keep bumping our head and we're just not breaking. We've gotten above this line and we're staying above this line, but let's get over this and then we'll go from there. Until that happens, I just don't see a trade. I just think you're better off waiting until it gets through there. And I do think it's going to happen, but I think you need to wait for it to happen. Like we did we went through the other day with Net, right? I think Net was in the top 10. I have to go back and look at my notes. But you see how you finally broke over that, and now you're over here? I mean, what you're trying to do is you're trying to wait for something very similar with Snap. You're waiting for it to actually trigger before you get involved. Snow, congratulations to those that were in it. I have no position in this. It's the one on the group that I completely avoid out of all of them, just because of the valuation. And I know people love it, but the valuation scares me. This was nice that this big here. Let's drop this down so you can remember this. But this was huge, right? I believe this was your earnings, and then you just rallied. You sold down. Everyone thought it was going to go, and you got through this level, and then you formed a little flag, and then you broke out of your flag. I mean, it looks great, and you did it on above average volume. Technically speaking, you don't really have any junk until you get to the top of this. You really don't have any issues till 279. So a great trade. Congratulations to those that are in it. Again, I'd become concerned rolling back below this 241, which would also get you below the breakout bar. That would be my stop and how I would play it. But there's really no reason why you can't get to, the top of this. I mean, this is going to be resistance for somebody, right? Look at all that volume. I don't even need to do a volume profile. You can tell when people got checked with it. So TKAT. Okay. So you can see your level right here, right? and you're just sitting. I just wanted to show this one very quickly because these NFTs, in my opinion, are not done. There's too many people that want to be in these. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing a flag come out, and then you're seeing this move. Now, what I liked about today and why I wanted to show this was you had a bearish engulfing here. You have bullish engulfing here. You have a bullish engulfing here. You're starting to get more and more of them, aren't you? And you keep testing this 21 day. So it could be setting up for a move, but get a close above the 21 day before you do anything. And then just realize that you could just get completely rejected. You know, you have a major resistance line here, and you've really got to watch that 50 day. So just be careful. So Tilray was one that I really liked. We put it in the newsletter. 1950 was the price point. You know, we did this one in February and just absolutely crushed it. Just absolutely knocked the cover off the ball. And if you want a copy of the newsletter, it's free. Everything we do is free. And just click in the descriptions. It's right in there. So you can see right here, this 1957, and you can see how we're doing. I don't think there's any reason to do anything here. I mean, it's what I said the other day. There's no reason to do anything. Just sit, watch, and wait. This is going to take time. Like, this is just not going to go up because you're in it. You know, I think you broke out. You're going to come back down and consolidate and go. Look, a lot of these stocks are not moving because of short squeezes, okay? I mean, we could talk about them, and I could say short squeeze. But it's not really a short squeeze. I mean, AMC is dumping so much stock on the market, tens of millions of shares, like almost every other day. So that's not a squeeze. That's people actually buying the stock. And I think that we really need to make a differentiation to that, because it could be that some of these names just simply don't deserve to be where they're trading at. So if you think you're buying because of a squeeze, then when the squeeze is over, you would be out of them, right? But it is possible that some of these names just got way beaten down and they shouldn't be where they are. And, you know, the way to determine that is just price. So this one I just wanted to cover because I was asked about it. I was talking about this one earlier today, pre-market, but you just have to watch. Your open was the high and then you just ripped. And I gave a couple levels today on Twitter on where you could be looking at this. And, you know, one was here, watch this break. You could see how that played out. It did break and it did come back down, but then you rallied again. And this was the level where I said it could push. And I just said to watch it. I said, if it gets through 1676, you're going to see everybody kind of want to be involved. And that's what happened. You could see your little bearish engulfing here. And then that was pretty much the high. Be really careful chasing this. I'm not really sure why it's going up, except that people are buying it on speculation. We've gone through this before with this name, all the way up here. So could it do it again? Sure. So maybe it's going to do this every June. This is what it did last time. Maybe that's its thing. I don't know, but I would just be really careful with this. It looks great. It looks like it could go for more. But just, you know, be aware. You know, don't be buying it on rallies. Be buying it on pullbacks and setting stops. So UPST was one that on Friday at the close and during the day, I said, I'm buying. And, you know, just to kind of walk through the trade, this was it on the hourly. So, you know, here's your buy price so you can understand it. This was the channel that I saw. And really what I was looking at, and these were my targets. So really what happened today was off the hourly, right? You're essentially right here. And it just went, boom. And we didn't get the full measure. You got 178. First target was 180. And then you just have a long-legged doji. And then when you see that, you have to understand that it might not go. It just might, because now you have uncertainty. When you see a long-legged doji, understand you have uncertainty. Okay? Whether you're looking at an hour chart, a half-hour chart, whatever. It's just, doesn't mean that it's not going to go back. It just means it's just not sure what it wants to be when it grows up. So you tried to break out of the wedge. You weren't able to. You rolled. And now you have to see what happens. And I think that that's really what you have to do, right? I would not chase this now. It's had its day. It had its little rally. We buy this. The way we've been buying this and crushing it is we buy this on pullbacks, okay? And this doji right here is not a pullback. That is a pay attention. I might go down hard. Look. So just wait, watch, and see. I could go either way. I don't know what I want to do. So just pay attention to when you see that. I know people are getting excited because they're saying, oh, it's an all-time high close. I really don't care. Those kinds of bars scare me. And I do like the fact, frankly, that you didn't take out a lower low. You didn't even come close to it. You went the other way with it. ZIM was one that I gave this morning, and I was trying not to be too emphatic with it, but look, you priced the secondary at 40, and there's just some simple things that you could do to do better trading. And this one's really simple, right? Just pay attention, because stocks have personalities, and people don't think that. They think it's all price. Yes, it's all price, but they have personalities. So, and by personalities means the people that are trading them have personalities, and those people are buying the stock. So the people that are buying ZIM are not the same people that are buying BNTX. So that's what I mean when I say they have personalities. Just so we're clear, I don't believe that stocks are actually entities, living, breathing entities. But I think that you have to think about it like that, because that's how they work. Like, look how this one always gets to the 21-day and then bounces. So where would you want to buy it? Look how it always gets to the top of this channel and rejects. Do I want to buy the breakout? How'd that go? How'd it go when you bought this breakout, right? How'd it go back here? Like, not well. So it pays attention to actually study and read a chart instead of just act. Look, there's 1,000 different ways to trade, and I've seen a ton of them over 20 years of doing this, and everybody's different. I have buddies that are complete contra traders that will take this position up here and they'll go short, and I'd be scared to death to do that. And they do exceptionally well. Everybody's different. You have to find what works for you. But my point with this trade today, and why I was so all over it pre-market, was at $40. Okay. When you saw this at $40, this was something that you really needed to pay attention to. And the reason why is because it priced there, and then we held there. So what this was doing, and why I said I wouldn't even wait for a trigger. You don't even need anything to tell you that it's going to go above this. It's pointless. Why is it pointless? Because this is going to be my stop. So, and the trade was that simple, right? Your stop was 39.80, and we said, oh, give it 5 cents. If I break 39.75, it's a simple trade, because you understand that the investment bank that did the secondary is going to want to hold the level for their clients and the people they just sold the stock to, right? They don't want it to sell down to here after they just told you to buy it at 40. The institutions will go ballistic and dump the stock on them and won't do their next secondary, right? So it helps knowing those games a little bit. But what happened here is you broke down, and now you're getting ready to possibly push back up here to that 53 level. So I don't think this is over. But again, I would be using that as my stop, and that was my thought process behind this pre-market. That's it. That's a wrap. As always, please comment as to what you like the most in this video and what you want to see going forward. I am working on some more training videos. It's just, between the full-time trading and everything else, it's just time consuming. That's it. Have a great evening, everybody.